This year, to add some adventure to me staying in shape this summer, I decided to take on the Big Butte Challenge. Now, if you're not familiar with the Big Butte Challenge, you're supposed to summit 8 different buttes between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And each one of them, you get a token. And the neat part about it is, each one of these tokens can be redeemed at a local participating brewery. So naturally, I was in. When I looked at the list of buttes, though, I realized some of them I recognized, but some I'd never even heard of. So I decided it was time to find out some things that I didn't know.
And the best place to start is Pilot Butte. Back in the day, it was such a valuable piece of geology that Bend was almost named Pilot Butte instead.
Those traveling through the area can see Pilot Butte and know that they're close to fresh water and Farewell Bend Ranch, which was also a stopping point, post office, and a place for people to pit stop on their way through.
The 4th of July fireworks we see from here are nothing compared to the fireworks that created it.
So we would have seen like gobs of lava flying up 100 feet, 200 feet high into the air, probably formed over a series of months. So would have been a pretty fun show to watch.
The view from Pilot Butte is of one of the most volcanic regions on the entire planet.
If you're standing on Pilot Butte and you look to the south, or you look to the west, or you look to the north, every single promontory you see, every single butte you see is a volcano.
But Pilot Butte is peanuts compared to the next geological giant.
We're gonna go backwards in time to the oldest of the 8 buttes, to Smith Rock. So Smith Rock was born in an epic volcanic eruption 29.6 million years ago.
What geologists like to call it is a super volcano. This thing was way bigger than Mount St. Helens would have been.
So when you're standing at the base of Smith Rock looking up at those incredible rocks, you are at the bottom of an enormous volcano.
Misery Ridge is aptly named, but the selfie you get from the top reveals the remnants of one of the biggest explosions that our planet has ever seen. The legend of Smith Rock says he was named after Private Volk Smith, who, when surrounded in battle, leapt to his own death to avoid capture. But the truth is, more likely it was named after Sheriff John Smith in the 1860s, who claims to have discovered it despite the fact that natives had been using it for thousands of years.
Overturf Butte is kind of bland, honestly.
It may be bland, but it was muy caliente the day I took this one on. The Cascade Highlands Trail meanders from Phil's Trail through Tetherow and back towards town.
I think what's cool about Overturf Butte is it illustrates a point that maybe you've been picking up on thus far. Every single butte in Central Oregon is a volcano.
In my 11 years in Central Oregon, I'd never heard of this butte, despite the fact that I'd lived about a mile from it this entire time.
We live in one of the most volcanically active places on planet Earth. We've got subduction zone volcanism going on from the subducting Juan de Fuca plate. We've got extensional volcanism going on because Central Oregon's being literally pulled apart. And both of those combine to create an incredible locus of volcanic activity.
The final butte of this series took me out to Crook County and to the edge of one of the biggest volcanoes in the history of our planet.
So we're gonna go over to Barnes Butte. We're gonna climb to the top of Barnes Butte. Now, as you look to the northwest, you should be able to see Smith Rock. You are looking at the entire breadth of the Crooked River caldera. Everything between Barnes Butte and Smith Rock. Imagine it hollowed out, a deep pit, a deep smoking pit in the ground. That was the Crooked River caldera. That was the implosion of this epic volcano after its eruption.
I'm literally standing on the edge of one of the largest volcanoes with one of the largest eruptions that ever happened, and yet it makes me feel alive. Well, and tired.
All right, well, that's the top of Barnes Butte. That's 4 buttes down. That's 4 more to go. So stay tuned, because in the next installment, Bessie Butte, Black Butte, Helena Peak, and the monster, Tumalo Mountain. For Central Oregon Daily News, I'm Scott Helmet. Taxi? Taxi? Uber? Grubhub?